Hello, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you a Taskmaster class on the series 19 contestants. So this video will just kind of go over some things that the contestants have been in, some places where you might recognise them from. I like to do this because I like to get to know the contestants a bit before the series airs, and I think lots of people do too. Yeah, the series 19 contestants were finally revealed on the 22nd of January, right after the episode 1 premiere in New York City. This is what everyone predicted after not getting it after the New Year's Treat episode. This was revealed through their normal trailer that they do on social media. It might have been released on TV too, but I happened to see it on social media first. This is a different way of doing it than they normally do. Normally it's aired on TV after either the series finale or after the special episode like the New Year's Treat or the Champion of Champions. The series 19 contestants are Fatia El-Ghorri, Jason Mantzoukas, Matthew Bainton, Rosie Ramsey and Stevie Martin. So I am very excited about this cast. I know 3 out of 5 of them quite well. I'm familiar with one, and one is somebody new to me, which is always exciting. So yeah, I'm going to go through each contestant, tell you a bit about them and some things that you could watch if you wanted to get to know them, or some places that you might recognise them from. So starting off with Fatia El-Ghorri, and she is a comedian and writer. So I mainly know her from the show Outsiders, which airs on Dave. There have been 3 seasons so far. I'm not sure if they're continuing it. She was on series 2 with Maisie Adam, Dara and Harriet, Jessica Hines and Taskmaster alumni Phil Wang and Joe Wilkinson. Outsiders is very similar to Taskmaster. It draws a lot of comparisons. The show sees comedians being tasked with doing challenges. They are more survival themed challenges, but there are some creative ones in there as well. And yeah, it's hosted by David Mitchell, and there have been lots of Taskmaster alumni on there. A slight difference is that on Outsiders, the contestants are paired up throughout the series, so they work as teams, and Fatia was with Phil Wang in this season. She has appeared on a number of comedy shows as well on television that you may have seen. So she was on Unforgivable, Out of Order, and she's done stand-up on lots of shows such as Comedy Central Live and Jonathan Ross's Comedy Club. She was also on Alan Davis's As Yet Untitled and The Last Leg. Most recently, where you may have seen her, is she was on the Big Fat Quiz of Everything for 2025. So she has been on TV quite a lot. She's somebody that I've seen pop up in the last few years, and I really enjoy everything she does. She's also done a lot of stand-up. She does a lot of stand-up. She was on a group called the Super Muslim Comedy Tour, and yeah, she does solo stuff as well. So I imagine that you have probably seen her on television. If you haven't seen Outsiders, I would definitely give that a watch, especially if you do like Taskmaster, which I imagine you do if you're watching this video. But yeah, you may have seen it on the Big Fat Quiz of Everything. I know a lot of people watch that because it's really good. That is Fatia El-Ghorri. There is probably lots of things I've missed, as I will with everybody, but yeah, those are the main things that I have seen her on. Next up is Jason Mantzoukas, and he is an actor, comedian and writer. So Alex actually teased a big American name that was appearing on the show a while ago, I think even before series 18. So people were speculating for a while, and he was a name that kept popping up again and again, even before the studio recordings. So yeah, he was teasing it for a while. So this is the first American to come to the UK to do the show specifically. Not the first American, obviously, because we've had Desiree Birch, but he is the first one to not be established in the UK comedy scene. He's very much in the American comedy scene. Obviously, he's in a lot of shows that we do watch. But yeah, he's the first one to actually travel to the UK to do this, which is really exciting and opens up the potential for a lot more comedians from America to be doing this as well. A lot of people guessed him, and when they revealed the names of the initials of everybody, he was the one that I actually got spoilt for me, which I'm not annoyed at, because I think everyone was kind of guessing that before. So yeah, that's quite exciting. I am a big fan of his, specifically because he appears in 3 of my favourite shows. So he has been in Parks and Recreation, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Good Place, where he plays Dennis Feinstein, Adrian Pimento and Derek Hofstadter respectively. He always plays the crazy, insane characters. He's always really fun, and yeah, I just love all the characters he plays, specifically Derek in The Good Place. I think he is just absolutely hilarious. But yeah, he pops up in these shows quite a lot. And yeah, I just think he is absolutely fantastic. He is probably most known, not by me, unfortunately, because I haven't heard of this show, but for having a recurring role in the sitcom The League, which is about like fantasy football. He plays alongside Nick Kroll, which he also worked with Nick Kroll in another thing I know him for, which is the animated comedy Big Mouth. He plays a number of characters, but probably most notably Jay. As he has quite like a noticeable and interesting voice, he has been a lot of voice actor in a lot of shows like Big Mouth, but also in Star Trek Prodigy. And he was also recently in the Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus, playing Mr. D, who is the head of the camp, who was also in the film The Dictator. So yeah, he has been in a lot of things. There are loads of things I've not mentioned, but these are things that I think most people might recognise or know him from. So he also has a podcast called How Did This Get Made, where they like critique bad, odd shows, which seems really fun, and I have heard of. I'm not a big podcast listener, but I had heard of this one. Some interesting facts that I found were that he actually is trained in improv and was taught by Amy Poehler, who was obviously in Parks and Recreation and is a massive comedian, someone I think would be amazing on Taskmaster. And he performs a lot of improv, which I think works really, really well for Taskmaster. And he actually now teaches improv, which I think is really cool. And as I said, perfect for Taskmaster. I think the improv scene in America would be amazing for like the Taskmaster setup, especially like we've seen with Game Changer on Dropout. It's very improv heavy and I think it works really well. Another fun but also not fun fact is that he is actually really allergic to eggs, which I think is quite funny going on a show that has used eggs a lot and has accidentally made vegans destroy eggs or eat eggs in the past. So I imagine they're going to be very, very strict with this, and I don't think we're going to see any egg-based tasks in this season, which they have drawn back a bit from the food related tasks in that aspect, because it's a lot of food waste, which they are trying to limit. But yeah, I doubt we're going to see any egg-based tasks this time. Next up is Matthew Bainton, and he is an actor, comedian and writer, and is somebody that I am absolutely thrilled to be on Taskmaster. So he was another one that I had kind of spoilt for me. In the initials teaser, they had MB, and some people were saying it's definitely Matt Berry, and some people were saying it's definitely Matthew Bainton. I would have been very happy with both. However, as I said, very thrilled it's Matthew Bainton. I am a massive fan. If you've looked at the videos on my channel, you would know that I am a massive fan of the BBC sitcom Ghosts, in which Matthew Bainton stars in, and he also wrote it and created it alongside 5 other people in a collective called Them There. So they founded Them There after starring on the children's TV show Horrible Histories together, which I was obsessed with when I was a child, and I have rewatched since being an adult and still think it holds up into being an absolutely fantastic show. Horrible Histories was actually inspired by and actually draws comparisons to a lot, being like a children's version of Blackadder or Monty Python. It's very silly, it's very fun, but it's also actually very educational. I think it is like a fantastic show. And yeah, after being on Horrible Histories, they formed this group called the Them There Collective, also informally known as the Six Idiots. And yeah, they've gone on to produce a lot of shows together. So they have produced a film called Yonderland, which aired on Sky. It's on Now TV, I believe, if you did want to watch it. And it is a sitcom which sees like a bored stay-at-home mum transported to a magical kingdom by an elf, saying that she is the chosen one that's destined to save this kingdom. And yeah, Matthew Bainton is voices the elf, and he also plays a number of characters, as do the rest of the cast. So yeah, it's very fun, very silly. They also created a film called Bill, which is a film about William Shakespeare, obviously not really based in truth, but like probably some historical elements in there as well. Most notably though, as I've mentioned, he is in and created the show Ghosts. So Ghosts is a show where a young couple inherit a massive mansion that is inherited by ghosts, and after Alison, the main character, hits her head, she's able to see and communicate with these ghosts. And Matt plays a ghost called Thomas, who is a Regency poet and is in love with the main character, or infatuated with. I don't know whether I'd quite call it love, but he's kind of like obsessed with her in a sort of nice, sort of creepy way. But it's such a fantastic show. There have been 5 seasons and some Christmas specials as well. And I have heard that they are making a film about it, which is really exciting. There has been American adaptation of this show as well, in which Matt and the rest of the 6 cast are executive producers for, and that also appeared in a little cameo playing a version of Pete in the American show, who is based on the British character Pat. So yeah, lots of things. There's also like so many more remakes of Ghosts coming, a German edition, and I can't even remember all the other editions. There's loads. It's going worldwide, which like Taskmaster, I find really exciting. Ghosts also stars a lot of Taskmaster alumni. So we have Charlotte Ritchie playing the main character Alison, Kiell Smith-Bynoe playing Alison's husband Mike, Katie Wicks and Lolly Adefope play 2 of the ghosts, and then Jessica Knappett, Bridget Christie and Emma Siddy also have roles in the show as well. I would love for the rest of the Ghosts cast, the rest of the Them There collective, to be on Taskmaster. I think they're all absolutely fantastic and just hilarious. Everything they do, I love. Matt has actually appeared on a lot of British TV shows. So you may have seen him in Gavin and Stacey. He played Dino. He created, wrote and starred in the show The Wrong Mans. He also played Dobby's boyfriend Simon in The Peep Show. He's also been in other shows called Quacks and Yumi and the Apocalypse. You may have seen him on Drunk History, and he does have quite a major role in the show Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And he was recently in the film Wonka alongside Phil Wang, playing a character called Felix Fickelgruber. He also does theatre work as well, so he most recently played Bottom in The Midsummer Night's Dream at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. So yeah, he has done a lot, and I'm a big fan of pretty much everything he does. Some interesting facts about him that might come in helpful in the show is that he is a really good singer. So Horrible Histories, they sing a lot in that. They do a song in each episode. You may have seen him in the Dick Turpin one. That's a big one of his. And also the Charles II song. Those two, I think, kind of transcended just the Horrible Histories fans and became like songs that people actually quite like recognised. So yeah, he's a very talented singer. He's actually trained in the act of clowning, which he trained in Paris. And another interesting fact is that he's actually Daisy May Cooper's and Charlie Cooper's second cousin. So as you can probably tell by how many things I've listed off of his, that I'm a massive fan. He is somebody that I've wanted to be on the show for a while, as with the rest of the Them There collective. I am so excited and I think he's going to be fantastic. And yeah, I think it's just going to be so good. Next up is Rosie Ramsey, and she is a podcaster and author. So Rosie is definitely most well known for co-hosting the podcast Shagged, Married, Annoyed with her husband Chris Ramsey, who appeared on series 13 of Taskmaster. So this is another partner that we've had on before. So yeah, Chris Ramsey was hilarious, and yeah, I'm sure Rosie Ramsey is going to be hilarious too. So Shagged, Married, Annoyed is one of the biggest podcasts in the world, which is crazy. They've had over 170 million downloads according to their website, and they've won numerous awards. For example, the Best Comedy Podcast from the National Comedy Awards in both 2022 and 2023. They have broken world records for their podcast. For example, one of them was they were the only podcast to have been in the top 10 for the entire year. They did a massive tour for this podcast as well, so doing the podcast live, which a lot of other places have done as well. And they also wrote a book based on this podcast called Shagged, Married, Annoyed, and she wrote this with Chris, and then she also co-authored with Chris a children's book as well. She also co-hosts the BBC show The Chris and Rosie Ramsey Show, where they have like celebrity couples come on and they just talk about a variety of like different topics. She's also appeared herself on a number of different TV shows, for example things like Saturday Kitchen, Alan Carr's Epic Games Show, Strictly Come Dancing. She was on the Christmas special for 2022. She's also been on The Wheel, The Latest Show with Mo Gilligan, and she recently was a host on the Comic Relief for 2024. Some interesting little facts about her: she actually worked in radio before setting up the podcast with Chris. And yeah, the one thing that I found out was that the whole podcast was her idea, and that yeah, she just thought it'd be a good idea after fans of Chris started noticing how funny Rosie was just by like her conversations with Chris while he was doing Facebook Lives. So yeah, it was actually her idea, which I think is fantastic to spawn this idea that's gone on to be one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Another interesting fact, and something that might help her in the show, is that she's also a good singer. She was actually in a 1940s themed girl group called Scarlet Street. So yeah, she is obviously going to be a good singer. So they sometimes do have musical singing related tasks, and having that musical ability will definitely help you in those tasks as well. And last but certainly not least is Stevie Martin. And Stevie Martin is a podcaster, comedian and writer. And she was the only one that I didn't know before this reveal. She does look familiar, so I probably have seen her on things before, but she's definitely not somebody that I'm very familiar with. But I'm always excited to be introduced to a new comedian. It's always exciting, and they always choose them very well. So she is probably most well known for her online sketches on social media. So she is a part of a sketch group called Massive Dad. She also has done a lot of sketches with the comedian Lola Rose Maxwell. And she does a lot of solo skits as well. So these go on things like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that sort of thing. So some of them, she definitely looks familiar. So I think I have seen her when I've been scrolling and stuff. From this, she has done a number of solo comedy shows. And she has also done shows as part of the sketch group Massive Dad. So she's been on tour with them. Some other things that she's done, she's actually been the host of 2 podcasts. One I think is still currently going. So one of the podcasts is called Nobody Panic. And this is still going, and this is kind of like a guide for life and adulting. So they take a topic like how to fix a washing machine or how to do a shopping list, and they kind of just talk about things that you can do in life and things you can do right, probably mistakes that they've made. It sounds really interesting, and yeah, just about how to be an adult, which I think is quite a fun podcast topic. They talk about some smaller matters than like things I said, like how to make a good shopping list, but they also talk about bigger things, like making really big life choices. So yeah, it seems like quite a fun podcast and very popular as well, I believe. She also hosted the podcast called Might Delete Later, and this was actually with her sister Gina, who is actually an activist, political activist, who successfully campaigned to make upskirting illegal when she was a victim of it, which is very, very impressive. So Might Delete Later is a podcast where Gina and Stevie dive into the interesting celebrities' social media history, and they do this with the person as well. So there was a Taskmaster alumni, Lou Sanders, who was on there, and they basically go through their social media and just talk about the impact of social media's had, anything they regret. And yeah, I think that's a really fun idea for a podcast. She has also appeared on a number of TV shows as well. For example, she was on Catster's Countdown, she was in Dictionary Corner, she was on an episode of Starstruck, which is a fantastic show with Rose Matafeo and Emma Siddy. Highly recommend you watch it. She's also been on The MASH Report and Comedians Giving Lectures, and has also written for a number of TV shows as well. So yes, that's a lot of information about the series 19 contestants. As I said, I have probably missed stuff. I am not expecting to have covered everything. So if there's anything that I have missed that you feel is really important and something that everybody should watch that one of these contestants has been in, then please put it in the comments down below and I will check it out. As I have said, I am very excited for Series 19. I think this looks like an absolutely fantastic lineup. So let's talk a little bit about the trailer. So yeah, there were a couple of things from the trailer that I wanted to mention. First of all, the house, the abandoned old house front that they're filming the trailer in front of, looks really cool. This definitely looks like it's going to be the location that they do the location tasks in, which it looks really, really cool. There isn't really any clues as to what the theme is. Last time, obviously, they had the house decorated with lots of marine themed things. Not really any indication of what the theme is going to be this time. So we didn't even see the portrait. There was a glimpse of Greg, but not the portrait, which is quite interesting. They haven't revealed much about it. The task that looks like they're filming, I really hope we see, because that looks quite interesting with why is there a person dressed as a teddy? What are they doing with these pillows? I think that looks quite fun. Also, I thought at first that Jason was wearing a cape, but it seems like that's part of the task since a few other people are wearing capes as well. Yeah, Matt's is definitely the most interesting outfit. I always love it when someone wears a very silly thing. I think it's very funny. Not too much information in the reveal. I guess the main thing is just look at these fantastic contestants. yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be a really fun season. I think all the contestants that I know, I think are going to be fantastic. I think Matt, I'm obviously a massive fan of, so I think he's going to be great. And Jason is obviously a wild card. We haven't had anybody like him before in terms of like being a bit far removed from like the British comedy scene, obviously being American, and given like the characters that he plays always being like the crazy odd ones, I think it's going to be really fun to see what he's like on this show. I haven't seen him just being himself. He's always been playing a character. It's always like kind of the same character as well. And yeah, Fatia I really enjoyed on Outsiders, and yeah, I think she's going to be great on this. And she actually appeared in one of my Contestants I Want to Be on Taskmaster videos that I did, same with Matt Bainton as well. So yeah, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be really good. And yeah, I'm interested to see how the teams will line up. I don't know how they're going to do it. But yeah, I'm very excited to see all the contestants in action. I'm excited to get to know Stevie Martin a bit better. Same with Rosie Ramsey, because even though I am familiar with her, I don't know her work as much as I do with the other three. Yeah, I think they're going to be so good. And I'm excited for more people to get to know Fatia and Matt Bainton as well. I think they're both incredible comedians. I'm really interested to see how Taskmaster will be going forward, if they are going to try and get more people from like America to come on the show, because there are definitely some American comedians that I would like to go on Taskmaster. They haven't announced a release date for the season yet. I'm imagining maybe like end of February, March time, I think, maybe March. They tend to do kind of like a spring one and an autumn one. So yeah, that's when I'm expecting it, but they could bring it forward or push it back, considering they've already had like the premiere in New York. It makes sense not to have a massive wait in between people in New York seeing the first episode and then the rest of it. But who knows? I don't know. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really good. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. It really helps the channel. Comment down below, as I said, anything that I've missed from these contestants, and also things that you're most looking forward to. Which contestant do you think is going to be your favourite? I'm probably going to be biased and say Matt Bainton, but I think that's expected given the history of my channel. But yeah, very excited for all of them. And subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with Taskmaster. I am hoping to do an episode review of every episode of Series 19. So yeah, stick around for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!